were you feeling standing here now at the end of that race?
I felt terrible. Terrible. You know, it's been it's been the worst season ever, and no matter how much I try, it just keeps going worse. So, yeah.
Can I ask what you're trying?
I'm trying everything.
So in the car, out of
everything,
the car?
in and out of the car.
Okay, hope it gets better, thank you.
Can a single race change a legendary driver's perception of his entire legacy? Stay until the end, because what Hamilton said in Las Vegas reveals more than you imagine. The 2025 Las Vegas Grand Prix did not start as just another weekend on the calendar for Lewis Hamilton. It was much more than a career. It was a pending statement, an opportunity for personal and professional redemption after weeks of doubts, internal pressures, and consecutive failures. Ferrari arrived in Nevada reeling after a catastrophic double retirement in Brazil, in which both drivers, both Hamilton and Charles Leclerc, were knocked out on the first lap. That blow was so brutal that it provoked an immediate reaction from the top of the management structure. Ferrari president John Elkann broke the silence with a phrase that resonated like a public slap. "Our mechanics are winning the championship with their pit stops, but our drivers are not up to the task." A statement so direct that it left no room for interpretation. It was a clear and stark message. The pilots had to perform, stop talking, and start delivering results. Faced with this scenario, Hamilton had two options: retreat or face the pressure with determination. He chose the latter. At Wednesday's press conference, before the engines had even started, he met the criticism with a tempered, almost stoic attitude. "I have a great relationship with John. We talk every week. There is harmony within the team, even with all the ups and downs," he declared. It was not a defensive response, but a strategic one. "I was managing the narrative. I wasn't looking for excuses." He did not divert attention to technical failures. He reaffirmed his commitment, not with empty words, but as a leader who wants to rebuild, not just compete. The data was not minor. In that first section, dominated by the strip straight, Hamilton repeatedly set the best split times. Ferrari had opted for a low downforce configuration inspired by the Monza package, which suggested an aggressive commitment to top speed at the sacrifice of cornering grip. It was risky, but Hamilton seemed to understand that commitment naturally. "I didn't want to touch the car." He said he was satisfied with the balance. That, coming from him, was significant. Saturday afternoon in Las Vegas featured a gray sky that clashed with the bright lights of the Strip. Expectations were high. Ferrari had shown signs of competitiveness, and Lewis Hamilton, after days of firm statements, seemed prepared to materialize his recovery. But what happened from that moment on was an absolute collapse, not only sporting but also emotional. The 2025 Las Vegas Grand Prix qualifying became a meteorological and technical catastrophe that swept away any hope of redemption. From the first minute of Q1, the urban track became a hostile scene. The rain, which had remained on the sidelines during the day, made its appearance with fury when it was least expected. The circuit, already treacherous in the dry due to its lack of grip and multiple painted lines from regular traffic, became a minefield of errors. Under these conditions, modern Formula One exposes its most primitive face: extreme rain tires, almost zero visibility, and drivers at the mercy of their instincts. One pilot described the situation as driving blindfolded. For Hamilton, qualifying was a slow-motion collapse. Mounted on the SF25 configured for low downforce, ideal for top speed, but lethally ineffective in the wet, it never managed to get the tires warm. Return attempts were interrupted by yellow flags, spray, and chaotic traffic that turned each sector into Russian roulette. The sensors did not respond, the car skidded at the slightest provocation, and the grip was non-existent. The most heartbreaking thing was that he couldn't even set a representative time. The sectors piled up, but he never completed a clean turn. Each attempt seemed like a mirage that would dissolve at the end of the third sector. And when he finally crossed the line, his time left him in the lowest possible position, P20. What? No extenuating circumstances. The shocking thing about that moment was not only the result, but also his reaction. Lewis, visibly beaten, declared that he was at a loss for words. And when a driver who has won 7 world championships and experienced all kinds of scenarios tells you that he has no words, you know that the defeat hit deep. He said he didn't remember anything so frustrating, and that session had been as bad as it can get. But there is a nuance that reveals the magnitude of the humiliation. While Hamilton could not get out of the bottom, his former team, Mercedes, placed Kimi Antonelli, a debutante, from P17 position to the top 5. That comparison was painful. Antonelli, with less experience, achieved what Hamilton could not even touch. And while conditions were unstable, that contrast was inevitable in the paddock conversation. Ferrari did not react. He didn't correct it in time. He did not adapt the strategy. And Hamilton, having no room to improvise, was caught in a storm with no way out. Technically, the car was not prepared for those conditions. Mentally, Hamilton was facing the helplessness of seeing how a weekend that had started with hope ended on the darkest page of his career. That Saturday wasn't just a bad day. It was a warning. What Ferrari is not yet. What Hamilton can no longer carry alone. And what happens when expectations collide with reality at the most vulnerable moment. After the nightmare experienced in qualifying, the natural thing would have been to expect a testimonial race from Hamilton. He started from last place, P20, on a street circuit known for its difficulty in overtaking, with a car that had proven to be unstable in the wet and strategically erratic. But what happened Sunday in Las Vegas was not an epic comeback, nor a glorious feat. It was something more human, quieter, and perhaps more revealing. It was an implicit statement of resilience, executed with surgical precision and without fireworks. The start was clean. Hamilton avoided contact, knew how to read the spaces, and gained 2 positions on the first lap. He wasn't aggressive, but he was efficient. His pace was consistent, even without clean air ahead. But what marked his progress was not so much his driving, but rather his emotional management. He didn't give in to frustration. He didn't rush. He did not look for miracles. He executed each turn as if it were an opportunity for internal reconstruction. The Ferrari team, for its part, made strategic errors once again. The pit call was not the most opportune. In fact, while other drivers took advantage of the undercut, Hamilton remained on the track waiting for a window that never came at the ideal time. Despite that, he managed to maintain a competitive pace and make the most of the used tires. It was there where his experience made the difference. But the contrast arose again in a painful way. Kimi Antonelli, from the same starting area as Hamilton, climbed with a well-balanced Mercedes and a team that was precise in its decisions. He finished in the top 5. Hamilton, on the other hand, could only reach 10th position. 10 places gained, yes, but only 1 point. On the results sheet, just a side note. In the narrative of its season, an episode full of implications. After the checkered flag, it was time for words. And what Hamilton said was as forceful as it was heartbreaking. He admitted that this was, without a doubt, the most difficult season of his career. It was not an exaggeration. I wasn't looking for drama. It was a statement born of fatigue, frustration, but also the realism of someone who has been at the top and is now forced to build from the foundations. He acknowledged that the car does not behave as expected, that still hasn't found the point of total trust, that he is still in that process of adaptation, of learning, of millimetric adjustment with a machine that does not respond as he wishes. But most significant was his acceptance of limits. For the first time in a long time, Hamilton showed himself to be a driver who not only leads from the wheel, but also from vulnerability. And in that vulnerability there is strength. Because he didn't blame anyone. He didn't point to the team. He did not demand heads. He simply said that we are still learning, making it clear that he is not willing to give up. Their fight is no longer for titles. It's because of legacy. For closing his career on his own terms. For being part of a reconstruction at Ferrari that, although plagued by setbacks, can offer him something that not even his previous championships gave him. A purpose beyond victories. That point in Las Vegas is worth nothing in the championship. But anything goes in the story of a driver who has decided to end his journey fighting, even when the car, the environment, and the conditions are aligned against him. And now that we have gone through this dark but revealing weekend, the question is inevitable. What is left of Lewis Hamilton? Let me know what you think about all this in the comments.